Well, let's put the focus on some earnings that we got recently. Listed IndoStar Capital Finance post a stable fourth quarter I'll take you through some of the numbers that we got this time around as well. The PAT saw an increase of about 5%, came in at 60 crores. NIM saw a bit of a contraction, so that's why we saw some of the pressure. Gross NPAs also saw good moves this time, so 1.3% versus 1.4% brought it down slightly. Similar picture on the net NPA front. So asset quality looking good with the margins coming under a bit of pressure, and otherwise a stable quarter posted. We have the management of the company, R. Sridhar, Executive Vice Chairman and CEO at IndoStar, joining in now for a fine print into the quarter gone by. Mr. Sridhar, thanks so much for joining in. Good to speak to you again. Considering the asset quality numbers, it's a good quarter. The rest of the metrics seem stable on a quarter-on-quarter and a year-on-year basis. Could you take us through some of the highlights of the quarter gone by? What factored into your performance this time?
The disbursements have been quite strong. We have grown nearly 50% in the disbursements, both on quarter-on-quarter and year-on-year, taking our assets under management to 6,200 crores. And there is also a substantial inroad we have made in the retail business. As you are aware, IndoStar started off with corporate lending business, and then it moved to SME. Then recently, in the last year, we started lending to commercial vehicles as well as the home loans. So the traction in the retail business has been good. In the last year, we have increased our branch network from 10 to 100, the manpower from 100 to 1,000, more than 1,000, which all helped us start the retail business in a big way. And this year, financial year 2019, is a very significant year for IndoStar, both from the point of view of the very recent listing of the company and then the retail foray. So the three lines of business in the retail, commercial vehicle, SME and home loans, out of which the commercial vehicle finance is the high growth, high profitable segment where the company is going to focus. So we are looking forward to a fantastic year ahead in the FY19.
Absolutely, sir. Like you said, your retail has grown quite significantly, 26.3% of your assets under management at the moment. And that's a big jump coming in on a year-on-year basis from that 12% number that you were working with. If you could help us understand what this does to your margins, because we've seen some pressure come into your margins in the fourth quarter. Was this on account of the higher exposure to retail loans, to the home loans and CV segment?
See, we are operating on two segments we are going to focus is corporate lending as well as commercial vehicle finance. Both are at around 600 to 700 basis point spread. So that is going to be 75 to 80% of our total assets. The balance, which are slightly lower yielding, is SME and home loans, will be around 20% of our total assets. So I don't think going forward, if we maintain this mix of assets, the net interest margin will not come under pressure. So we should be able to maintain around 6% net interest margin.
All right, 6% NIMs then is what you're looking to maintain going ahead, with 75 to 80% of the loan book being that mix of corporate and vehicle loans. In terms of asset quality, you already had extremely strong numbers as far as asset quality goes. You've managed to improve on that on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Where really are you seeing the pressure? Is it from only the SME space? What is the picture looking like? And if we talk about FY19, do you think that this is the range where you'll be able to maintain your asset quality even while you grow your loan book?
So the asset quality in the corporate lending business has been pristine right from the beginning. We have not had, in spite of lending around 25,000 crores in the last 7 years, we have not incurred even 1 rupee credit loss. There is only one NPL contract in the whole corporate lending business, which we are having the security of the borrower and we would be able to liquidate. We don't think we will get into any haircut on that contract also. But the NPL, which is shown in our books, is mainly arising out of the SME business, where we are lending to small, medium enterprises on the back of self-occupied residential property. So when the contract becomes NPL, we have to take back the self-occupied residential property and liquidate. which takes a little bit of a time. That's why it is. And in the last year, we focused on that and brought down the numbers significantly down. That is why you will see the impact. And this year, we are, focusing to bring much more down. So it would be likely to be below. The other businesses like vehicle and home loans are recently started, and we don't think there would be any NPL in that. So the asset quality is further likely to improve during FY19.
All right. Expect further improvement as far as asset quality goes for FY19. Speaking of fiscal 19, then any targets that you have as far as your AUM number goes?
See, the traction of the disbursements had been quite good. We have been growing around 25 to 30% in the corporate lending since inception, which is doing around 300 to 350 crores of disbursements per month. And the retail business, which has three engines, all of them are firing now. We are having a traction of similar numbers, around 250 to 300 crores. Should give you an indication how. So this year is going to be a very significant year for us, both in terms of asset growth as well as profitability.
All right. In fact, your return on asset number, Mr. Sridhar, is quite a strong number, 3.5%. What is the expectation on the ROA front? Because I expect as you expand your book going ahead, it might become difficult to maintain these levels.
Yeah, see, we have different businesses which are giving different yields. So that is why I said our strategy is going to grow two businesses which have higher yields, which are corporate lending and vehicle finance, which are giving you 600 basis points of NIM, which would help us to, if we maintain the same kind of an asset quality, we should be able to get this kind of, return on asset going forward also, in spite of doing around 20% of SME and home loans. So we are confident of that.
All right. I also wanted your take, Mr. Sridhar, on some commentary that we'd had recently on the government possibly coming out with a clearer policy on scrappage of commercial vehicles. How would that affect your financing business, your lending business going ahead? Any view that you have on this?
It's a very positive development because we are financing second-hand vehicles, which we consider is a replacement financing. Any scrappage, the truck operator who has got more than 20-year-old vehicle, if he scraps a vehicle, he has to upgrade because the application of a 22-year-old vehicle does not warrant the purchasing of a new vehicle. So a customer who is scrapping a very old vehicle will go for a newer vehicle, not new vehicle. So newer vehicle will have to be funded by someone. So if the scrappage policy of the government has to be successful, it needs companies like IndoStar who can finance old vehicles. So without financing of old vehicles, the scrappage policy will not succeed. So IndoStar, if the scrappage policy comes into effect in 2020, will see a big demand for used vehicle financing. So we are well positioned to take advantage of that. And that is why strategically we have made a foray into the used vehicle financing. It's a very positive development, and that demand cannot be met by IndoStar because I consider that beyond the 2020, 20-year-old vehicles, there are 2 to 3 million vehicles are there. If 2 to 3 million vehicles get scrapped over the next few years, there will be 2 to 3 times demand for used vehicles will arise. So that would be a big boon for companies like IndoStar.
All right. A very positive development then, considering your foray into the commercial vehicle space. We'll leave it at that. Mr. Sridhar, a pleasure speaking to you and all the best for the quarters ahead. That is IndoStar Capital Finance for you. A recent listing and a stable quarter coming out from the company. Commentary on the asset quality front, which is already at very good levels as well. But with that, we'll wrap it up here on this edition of Trending Today. Thank you so much for watching.